Hey guys, Mark here. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how to do the 5-stranded trick braid. The 5-stranded variation of the trick braid is probably the most useful one. It is easy to do and it looks great. This tutorial is a follow-up to the one that I did on the 3-stranded trick braid, and comparing the two, you will be able to find the pattern that you can apply to other braids as well. If you're not familiar with the trick braid, it is basically a braid that is closed on both sides, which makes it very practical for making belts, bracelets and things like that. With that said, let's move on to the tutorial. Before you actually start using your 5-stranded trick braid, you will need to account for the shrinkage that occurs because we overlap the different parts of our braid instead of using a straight strap. So what is the shrinkage that occurs in a 5-stranded trick braid? Well, it depends. If you do your braid tightly, like here, it's going to use up more of your strap than if you did it more loosely, like I did here. So it really depends on the tightness of your braiding, but generally I would account for about 10% reduction in length. Now, when will you start braiding? For example, if you're making a belt, I would highly recommend that you apply all the finishes, dyeing and edge burnishing to your strap before you cut in the slits and start braiding. That will ensure that you get everything correctly, because burnishing these edges or dyeing such a braid can be quite hard. So do it at the end of your belt making or strap making process. I have a leather strap here that I intend to braid into a 5-stranded trick braid. First, what we're going to do is measure the width of the strap. Divide that width by 5 in order to get 5 equal parts in our braid. We need to mark down 4 slits in our leather strap in order to get 5 parts. You can do that with a ruler, but I prefer to use a compass. So transfer the width of one part in your braid onto a compass. Then mark down 4 dots that you're going to connect on each side of your leather strap. Connect the dots on each side of the strap using a ruler, then cut out 4 slits. Once you've done your 4 slits, it is a good idea to punch in holes at the very end of your slit in order to prevent it from splitting any further under heavy stress. I have prepared my strap by cutting in 4 slits. I have punched in the holes at both sides of my slits, and this prevents your leather from splitting further. We're going to braid this as a 5-stranded braid, but we're going to add in a couple of extra steps. This process is a 12-step process, but 10 of these steps are identical as the ones in a regular 5-stranded braid. So we're going to start with a over 2. So on the left, over 2. Then on the right, over 2. Then on the left, over 2. On the right, over 2. And on the left, over 2. Now, the trick in this braid comes from the bottom of the strap, which we feed through this opening. So we have 2 parts on the left, 3 on the right. Go through this opening. On the bottom, where we have 3 parts on the left, 2 on the right, we again travel with the bottom of our strap through this opening. Now we continue braiding. We start on the right side, over 2, left, over 2, right, over 2, left, over 2, and right, over 2. With this, we have finished one sequence. We can begin another one just to make sure we got everything down. So we start on the left, over 2, on the right, over 2, left, over 2, right, over 2, and left, over 2. Now, 2 parts on the left, 3 parts on the right. We pick up the bottom of our strap and feed it through the opening. On the bottom, we have 3 parts on the left, 2 on the right. Pick up the end of your strap and feed it through the opening. At this point, you could finish, since step 7 is the finishing step in this braid. But you can continue braiding, again going over 2 from the right, then over 2 on the left, over 2 from the right, over 2 from the left, and over 2 from the right. At this point you would start a new sequence, and let's finish this braid. To finish it, we need to get to step 7. So, over 2 from the left, over 2 from the right, over 2 from the left, over 2 from the right, and over 2 from the left. Now finish by placing your bottom end through the opening, and then through the bottom opening, which has 3 parts on the left, 2 parts on the right. You go through. And you can see we have a 5-stranded braid. Adjust it a bit by basically readjusting all of the parts. And then pulling hard on it as well. And you do this for a while until you get a nice consistent look out of it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This is not a terribly hard technique and it is incredibly useful for making various straps. Thank you for joining me and see you next time.